It's seedy, dirty and dangerous, and we're fascinated by it. King's Cross is the heart of the criminal underworld here in Australia, and for decades it's been run by tough individuals, some of whom have had a fairly relaxed attitude towards human life. Investigative journalist Chris Masters has turned the spotlight on the latest generation of identities who are making their mark on the cross, including, of course, John Ibrahim, the nightclub owner who many regard as the unofficial king.
John Ibrahim, a very well-known figure in Sydney, but from Sunday night he'll have a national profile. What can you tell us about him?
Well, he certainly is one of those colourful Sydney identities. My understanding is Underbelly will feature the story of him being stabbed in the course of his duties as a bodyguard, and certainly the feedback I have, I've spoken to people who said that he doesn't mind showing off his scars.
In a sense, he's earned his stripes then to get to the top.
That's the goal. The goal is to be a Mr. Big type figure who has that aura of power that can get things done, that gets paid lots of money for not really doing anything at all.
Well, in the Wood Royal Commission, John Ibrahim was described as the lifeblood of the drug trade in King's Cross. It's pretty amazing that someone like that still has no criminal convictions, isn't it?
Yes, and that was based on an intelligence, police intelligence perception, clearly not based on evidence that could be brought before a court. I think that the fact that John can genuinely say that he shouldn't be regarded as a criminal because he doesn't have a criminal history is fair enough. What I would wonder, however, is how he can walk around with these big bodyguards and not be equally seen to be somebody who isn't under threat from criminals. And you've got to ask yourself, why would that be?
What explanations have you heard as to why he has the burly bodyguards there 24/7?
Well, the cross is a prize. A lot of people would like to be the so-called king of the cross, and that's the nature of the underworld.
Brisbane's crime scene was on the map in the 80s. Melbourne, of course, had the Sopranos-style killings in the 90s. How does Sydney's crime scene compare?
I think Sydney trumps them all.
How would you describe King's Cross?
It will always be a centre that will generate criminal behaviour because every city in the world has its own King's Cross. You can't completely morally renovate these places.
Is there a turf war there at the moment?
Yes, there is a turf war, and there probably always will be a turf war because it's prize territory.
Who are the main players that you know of?
Well, the Comancheros have grown considerably in the last couple of years. They seem to have muscled up, they seem to have armed up, but the Banditos certainly also have interest.
Has there always been a King of the Cross?
Yes, there has. The best-known ones would be Lenny McPherson. Lenny McPherson was a famous Mr. Big and very much an old-school Australian crim. George Freeman was also seen to be a Mr. Big. Abe Saffron was seen to be a Mr. Sin.
And how did it end for all of them?
Well, it doesn't end well. History tends to indicate they either end up in jail or dead.
Hey, what do you and Mr. McPherson look for in a club? Is it just a street, or does the building matter too?
Didn't realise you taught basic business to the hired muscle.
Hey, I want to be like you guys, Mr. Freeman. Mr. McPherson, I want to be as successful as you know?
Underbelly starts this weekend. He's obviously the central figure in that. How do you think John Ibrahim will cope with this new national profiling?
Well, he says he's trying to retreat from the limelight, but the evidence often suggests otherwise. I mean, it's the thing about these figures. They like a lot of attention because they like the aura of power. But on the other hand, the more attention that is attracted to them, the more interest their rivals take in them. I suspect that it would be wise for him to retreat from publicity.
So you think his rivals might see it as an invitation almost to attack him?
You can't pretend that bikies in particular are the most logical people on the block. And an aura of power is actually what they're all about.
Chris, thank you for your insights. It sounds like we should be watching this space.
Thank you.